Thank you, Comfrey. Good morning and welcome to a rather misty Gwyllt Hollow this morning for today's update. Let's have a look at the pond first. With all this wet weather and it getting a bit warmer, it's perfect growing conditions. And everything in the pond is literally bursting and coming alive. Look at those hostas. They're particularly wonderful at the moment and I do love them. They just look so fabulous and lush. And no slug damage yet, so that's good. Lots of water boatmen. I've seen a couple of newts in there as well, and some pond skaters. So it looking good, the pond. If we go round to my new pollinator patch here, planted this up last week, and wet weather has meant everything is really taking hold now. Humphrey playing his part, but yeah, everything is taking well, even the things I transplanted from the bank and around the garden, and it's all starting to fill out a bit, so hopefully everything's going to take and it'll look really good soon. I'm really pleased with this little area. It's coming together and everything looks mighty lush in the murk. I've worked so hard all winter to get the grow bank ready that it's really nice that we're getting to the stage now, hopefully, now we're in May, that there'll be no frosts, so I can start transplanting all those things I grew in my greenhouse out into here. So let's go and have a look what I've been up to this week. The path I installed is looking good, and I've started planting a few things up in this bed to the left hand side. I want this to be full of flowers. I've got lots of cosmos I've grown in the greenhouse. I've put things in like some nepeta. There's some oxeye daisy coming up. The blackcurrant here is covered in flowers, so I should get a good crop of blackcurrants. Let's go down here. So I've been quite busy this week. The biggest thing is my cold frame. I built this out of an old door that I found here, and I just made a simple frame. It isn't completely enclosed, but a simple frame, a handle from some hazel, and then put in some supports here so that I can lift it up and down and close it off at night. But it means I can bring out a few things and harden them off, and it'll be a place I can grow some more tender things until it gets warmer. And then I've been doing quite a lot of planting, so put some strawberries in. These are like bits of pipe that I found sort of up at the top end of the garden that I thought I would use then as little planters, keep them off of the damp soil and maybe dangle the strawberries over the edge. And then the other thing I've decided to do with strawberries, I'm going to try growing them raised like this in guttering. Again, spare bit of guttering I found on site, so we'll see how they go. Also planted my courgettes, well, some of them that I've grown from seed, some peas up the hazel teepee I made. Put a few beans in there as well at the back, and then I've arched this piece of wire over and planted some peas up on here. So some peas along that side and some beans too. So we'll see how they go. I'm going to be really interested to see what bees, particularly solitary bees, I get here. So I've started to put up all my solitary bee hotels. So this is a commercially bought one, and I've mounted my other ones, some of which I bought from Lichfield, along these posts here, because when the sun shines it's really warm here, so it's the perfect place to put solitary bee habitat. I will be building some of my own as well, but for now I thought I'd get these up. We'll see how they go. So we're in May now, And many people will be thinking about no-mow May, hopefully, thinking about how they can leave a little bit of their garden unmown to attract the wildlife. But what I say is try to think beyond May. When you're leaving areas unmown, think about whether you could keep them going much beyond then. Because otherwise, to me, you're creating a wonderful habitat in May, increasing the biodiversity, and then at the end of May, destroying it. A bit like me putting up a nest box, and then when everything starts moving in, take it down. So you haven't got to leave your whole garden. And I've obviously got a big plot here at Gwyllt Hollow. So what I'm doing, certainly up here this year, is just mowing paths. So this area will be left uncut all year, mainly so I can see what comes up, but also I can mow areas so that I can walk through and I can look more closely, and then you can have an area that looks partly tended, but also areas that are great for wildlife. And the recent survey about butterflies is that actually you can increase the number of butterflies vastly by having long areas of grass. So when you're thinking about it, think beyond May. Think what can you do and where can you leave areas a little bit wilder in your garden for a much longer period. There's so many species coming up in here in these longer areas, but look at this beauty. This is lady's smock or cuckoo flower. The orange-tipped butterflies love it, and so called obviously because at this time of the year we can hear the cuckoos, and in fact I have heard cuckoos around here, not actually in the garden, but such a pretty little flower. It'll be interesting to see what comes up in here. Looks really interesting. If you're watching my live cameras, you will see a lovely nest of a blue tit, and she's currently laying, and that's the box she's in. So keep watching. She's laying 1 egg a day at the moment, and I think we're up to 5 now. So hopefully maybe another 5. Blue tits can lay up to 12, 14, even 16 sometimes. But that's the box she is, tucked away safely in there at the top of my woods. I never dreamt in a million years that I would be able to say I had my own Bluebell woods. The woods here along the edge of the quarry are just so beautiful at the moment. All the ferns are coming up, all unfurling. They're lush, everything's dripping with green moss. And the bluebells are coming up. It's so beautiful. We're going to have loads of foxgloves. Look at all these coming up. We've got foxgloves, lovely buttercup in amongst there, bluebells, ferns. We've even got red campion coming up as well. This little patch here is just going to be so beautiful. I had loads of apples off this tree last year, and then when it fell down last winter, you can see all the roots sticking out. I thought it's had it, but it hasn't. There must be still enough of it in the ground. And look, it is coming into bud. Those beautiful apple blossom buds. So, at least the apples will be easier to pick because they're actually almost at ground level now. Isn't nature great? Lots of blackthorn on site. Lovely blossom. So the blackthorn flowers before it comes into leaf, and the hawthorn flowers after it comes into leaf. And what that means is in a natural hedgerow, there's this succession of flowers. So the bees can feed off of this first. And then when the hawthorn comes into flower, they can feed off of that. And up here, I'm just going to show you quickly because I've just seen her leave to collect food for these chicks. But right down in the ground here, there's a lovely little robin's nest. Let me just quickly see if I can show it to you. And look, it's got youngsters in there. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Tucked away, you'd never see it. Tucked away on the ground. Seems very vulnerable, but let's see how she goes. It's quite well hidden. Are you following the nuthatches? This is their nest box. Just up here. Again, in a nice, on the edge of a wooded little copse with a fairly open outlook. And she's sitting on eggs at the moment. Can't wait for them to hatch. So that's a little update from this week. Everything's growing in the greenhouse, so hopefully I'll be able to get some more stuff out in the next few weeks. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.